Alrighty, all you gold snatchers out there, welcome back to Empty Pan Prospecting. Today we're going to cover how I go about finding areas to prospect and pan for glacial gold. Now, this first image you're looking at here is Google Earth. But before we get into Google Earth and go about doing things with that, there's a lot of other maps you need to look over before you can really narrow down good places to look and to start panning in the prospect. So with me being in Ohio, we're going to use the glacial map of Ohio. Now naturally you can pull this off of the Department of Natural Resources, or where you can just type it into your server browser, whatever glacial map for whatever state you're in. As you can see, they have a legend down here that tells you what exactly all these pretty colors are. So now what you're going to want to look for is what they call an end moraine. Now here they call them a dissected ground moraine, and then there's ground moraines, ridge moraines, wave plain ground moraine, and then regular ground moraine again. So now, I do know these ridge moraines that are in the green that stretch along this way, you can see kind of in a wave pattern. This is where the glaciers stopped and then receded and then started progressing again. So as you can see here in Ohio, she kind of takes a little corner and left it untouched. All this down through here, kind of Coshocton County, Tuscarawas, Belmont, all these down through here have never been glaciated. These are actually the foothills to the Appalachians. Now, as you can see here, we got these, it looks like giant rivers running in yellow. That is the glacial outwash. When this started receding, these started pumping out. These were where the water was flowing out of. Now, some might think, wouldn't that be a good place to check? It can and it can't be, because a lot of these, like I actually prospected this little area over here in Licking County, and to be honest, that part of that river was so sandy, like it was very hard to find heavies. It was very hard to set up the sluice box, to even think about where to start digging, or it was very difficult. It was a very sandy, silty deposit down in this area. But what I usually do is anywhere along this line where you see the glacier has stopped, these are all going to be good places. Now, I'm not saying that way out here in the middle where the glacier has already passed through, there's not going to be any gold. There's going to be traces of gold through all this. And then naturally, any little creeks that run through these ridge moraines where that glacier stopped and started again will also leach out a little bit of gold. But where the majority of your gold is going to be focused is about where that glacier stopped bulldozing things over. So where it stopped, these rivers and creeks down through this area will be excellent places to prospect. I have prospected a lot of places all over, up and through here, Holmes County, Wayne County, Ashland, Richland. One of my good spots is actually down here in Knox County, Licking County, and then you get down to like Perry, Fairfield, Pickaway, a little bit of Hocking County, not much. Ross County is actually very well known for its glacial gold deposits. You get down into Highland, Brown, a little bit of Adams County, Claremont, and then naturally down here by Cincinnati and Dayton, there's been quite a bit of gold found down there. So let's go ahead and bounce back to the old Google Earth. So, as you can see, you know, I kind of got a filter on where it's like not showing a whole lot of stuff, so we can kind of see the base map and still see the outline of Ohio and the major highways cutting through. But if you're looking at Google Earth, you can see, you know, up in here there's like a scattered green, darker green, I mean, you know, like forestry. But as you can see from our previous map, you know that this glacier stopped somewhere up and through here and continued down this way. So, and then naturally this would be Cincinnati area, Cincinnati, Dayton area over here. That would be Columbus. So, what we're looking at here is you can see where the dips and stuff, where parts of the glacier went farther than, you know, it's not necessarily a straight line, okay? I mean, nature doesn't do straight lines. So, you know, you can really go anywhere, any little creek you can find, and get permission. Naturally, a lot of this is private property. Now, I have some spots, like here in Ohio, you're allowed to prospect public lands. State parks are off limits. Like the Wayne National Forest, I think it's like a, I don't know, I forget. I looked a long time ago, but with a lot of the Wayne National Forest being unglaciated, I don't really go down there and dance with that too much. But they do charge a small fee to run like a sluice box. I think it's like 15-20 bucks. We're going to leave my opinion out on that. But anywho, you can see getting down here past Columbus where it's a little bit more defined at where the glacier stopped. And then, I think Chillicothe's right here. This is the Scioto River, and you can see where part of it flowed down through this way. Now, the little Scioto River starts and comes into this, but the majority of this is dry. Like, I mean, the Scioto River comes down through this weaving, which you can kind of see at the top of the mouse cursor. We'll just zoom in a little bit. You can see it. It's still winding up through there. But this one's not as defined. You can see the little Scioto River coming down through, but it's not as prominent as, you know, over here. But you can see where that ancient outwash flowed straight down to the Ohio River. There's some other outwashes you can see, like this one here that's going up towards Coshocton. Naturally, this would be the Mansfield area. This would be like the Mohican State Park. Like I said, state parks are off limits. You would have to check with your individual metro parks. Some metro parks don't allow people to dig for, you know, mineral extraction or arrowhead hunt or other things of recreation. But your public hunting lands are good to go. Now, you cannot use mechanical means of extraction here in Ohio. So I imagine that covers electric bilge pumps and all that. I don't see the harm in it, but men in suits making rules for guys with gold pants. So that's pretty much all that. So you might be wondering, how do you go about finding these wildlife areas? You can go to the ODNR, the Ohio Division of Wildlife, Department of Natural Resources website. They give you this little disclaimer here. So here you can see, now we got the legend up here. Natural areas and preserves, Division of Wildlife, Division of Watercraft, Division of Parks, and Division of Forestry. Now, so a lot of this you can get into. Now, like I said, this is kind of like a Google Earth image too, so you can kind of see here where our line of that end moraine is down through here. So, there is quite a few wildlife areas that, you can go and check out. I mean, Beach City Wildlife Area. Let's just zoom in on one just for kicks, like a lot of these. You can go down through, and I mean, you can find any one of these to just go check out. Now, you gotta make sure it's not a nature preserve. Like right here, you can see Browns Lake, but here's Shreve Lake. I know for sure that is a public hunting area. They actually do a pheasant hunt every year down here in these fields right here, Thanksgiving morning. So, but Brown's Bog is a preserve. You cannot hunt that. You can see how that's a different shade of yellow outlining the box. But, for instance, you would want to jump onto your state's Department of Natural Resources map and track down something similar to this. That way you know the areas you can go, and naturally you can zoom in on these areas. You can bounce back to Google Earth. Here, let's find something here. Funk Bottoms. It ain't the greatest because it's like a very low-lying area. But we'll go to Funk Bottoms here. We'll go bounce over to... Alright. And I only live like 15 minutes north of this, so... But since I got my legend on, naturally it's not going to show a whole lot here. Let me zoom out and see here. Here's 30. So your Funk Bottoms, pretty much right down in this area, because this is Blatchleyville. This is Worcester. You come down outside of Worcester, and then you jump on 95 and you shoot 95 across. But pretty sure we're getting into the area here. Oh yeah. So that's the whole 30. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So as you can see, this is the Funk Bottoms wildlife area. So you can zoom in on your Google Earth and you can see that, Kaiser's Ditch running through there. Now, naturally, Kaiser's Ditch, you're not going to be gold panning that. It's a muddy mess. And, I mean, this is all pretty much wetland down through here. So, prospecting this would probably prove to be very difficult. But you want to cross-reference your maps. You want to go through your Ohio hunting your Division of Wildlife map, and then come back, go to your Google Earth so you can get maybe a different view of things. And I mean, a lot of times you can zoom right in on this and you can see, Kaiser's Ditch. Now, actually, this picture is when this place was flooded like crazy. Holy smokes. You can plainly see the ditch has overran its banks getting past the parking area. There's actually like a deck observatory right here. You can look out across this, but you can see where the swamp is flowing pretty good. Flowing really good, actually. That is quite a bit of water. I don't know when this was taken, but you can narrow down these spots, and you want to find out your regulations for your state so you don't have green jeans jumping down your back while you're trying to enjoy a day out prospecting. But, like here in Ohio, all wildlife areas, public hunt lands, that kind of deal, those are all open for recreational use by the population. So prospecting being one of those recreational hobbies. So now we can go back to this real quick, because you can, as you're looking at the three different maps, you want to kind of keep going back to your glacial map, and you're wanting to find, you know, like these cames and eskers. I'm not a geologist, so, you know, I might be a little off, but how I understood the cames and eskers are like ridges that are formed inside the glacier as the glacier is pushing down. So naturally there's going to be boulders and stuff like that. Like I live around in the area of this right here, like pretty much up into this area. So a lot of this, like I actually live on one of these big eskers, and it's just nothing but a bunch of big chunks of rock, gravel. Well, I mean boulders. What we would consider boulders, but there is other maps that show you the boulder belt. There's a boulder belt somewhere down around in this area. A lot of big boulders that turned up. Now, one would think that that area with the bigger boulders, you would find bigger gold. This is true. That's what I think it would turn out to be. So, I mean, I got a few places over this way that I found to go prospect that I haven't got to yet. I also found a few places down through this stretch that I haven't got to yet either. Mainly, a lot of my prospecting has been in this area. Now, I haven't been finding mountains of gold, obviously, because I have not retired yet. But, I mean, this is how I go about narrowing down spots to go prospecting. And, I mean, naturally, you can get out there and Lord only knows what you're going to come across. I mean, this is all glacial till. You know, you can come across arrowheads, flint scrapers, you know, even stone tools, fossils, all kinds of cool little crystals and quartz crystals and, you know, garnets, all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't doubt for a minute if you could find diamond, sapphire, pretty much all gemstone. But I mean, keep in mind you're not going to walk away with a thumb-sized piece of diamond and, you know, it be worth a whole lot. It's probably all very ground down, fine, you know, stuff like you seen in my one video that I was holding on the end of my finger and you couldn't see. I'm still yet to check out what that real clear piece of material was. I don't even know. I'm going to take it down to a jeweler and see what they have to say. See if they can look at it through a loop and tell me what it is. If it ain't nothing, I ain't going to worry about it. But if that's a little chunk of diamond, that's pretty cool. But, you know, you want to find your creeks and your rivers that are flowing out of, or through at least, this end moraine. That is where your highest concentrations of gold will be. So that is where you're going to have your best luck. And, you know, do as I did here. Pull up your glacial map. Pull up your Division of Wildlife maps. And then pull up your Google Earth. Have all three set up, ready to go. And then you can start going back between all three maps and finding areas that are open for prospecting. So, you know, I mean, I really ain't got much more to put onto this. Any questions or anything like that, feel free to put a comment down below, and I'll answer every comment. I mean, you know, I'll chat with you, and I'll also answer questions if you need them answered. But this is how I go about prospecting here in Ohio, in the Glacial Till area. So, I mean, you know, and another thing about Glacial Gold is it's not like out west where you start finding gold and it's, let's say it's coarse gold. It ain't really rounded over a lot. So it hasn't traveled that far down the river. You can pretty much trace that stuff upriver to the source. Here in Ohio, our sources are far north you will be walking days on end till you find that source. Maybe months on end. All this is pushed down out of Canada. All of our gold is pretty much pushed down out of Canada. Now, there is some gold bearing stuff over here on the East Coast. Like, they found traces of gold in Kentucky number 9 coal. So, and there's been people that have found, a lot of gold over through the Appalachians. That's kind of where it all started. Is everybody was so crammed over here on the East Coast, and they started finding gold there. Well, the glacial gold, like I said, you're not going to trace that back to a lode. So what your best bet is to find is look for these end moraines and look for good outwashes. Like, look at that outwash going there, or the Scioto. There's all kinds. There's like this little guy. Look at these two, little fork there. All this would really be anything down through here. Everything, all the way down to the Ohio River. All that would be. Here, let me get it in the center of the screen. But all that would be pretty well worth prospecting. So, I can't really add any more to this video, and I'm going to probably cut it off there. So, remember folks, that gold ain't going to dig itself up. So, you got to get out there and give her hell. So, hopefully, this little video I put out for you guys will help you get out, do some prospecting, and maybe if you didn't have any idea of how to go about finding gold in your area, maybe, hopefully this video will help you narrow down the possibility of finding better gold or more gold or even gold period. You're just finding just a little bit. It's all fun to me. It doesn't matter. I find 2 or 3 specks. It was still cool because it's something that nobody else has ever laid hands or eyes on. So that's where I get my jollies out of it. Till next time, folks, take it easy.